Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video will contain spoilers for Frank Miller's 2004 graphic novel, Batman: The Dark Knight Strikes Again. This video may contain discussions and/or images of violence, sexual situations, and drug use. Viewing beyond this point is a choice you have made, and you take responsibility for that choice. Thank you, and please have a nice day.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone is having fun. Hope the universe is treating you well. Today's video, we are going to be talking about Frank Miller's Batman: The Dark Knight Strikes Again. But before we get into it, I want to clarify that these are my opinions. These are my thoughts, my ideas. You may have very valid, very genuine opinions, ideas, and thoughts that are different than mine. And they're valid. They're just as valid. The things that shaped you and your opinions are not necessarily the same things that shape me and my opinions. Feel free to express your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. As long as you're not disrespectful or inflammatory, have a party. And if you disagree with something I say, like I said, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm always open for a good discussion, and maybe you'll show me the light. You never know. I will never say that I'm always right, and in fact, one of my credos is I'd rather be known for being nice than being right any day. So let's get into this. This is Frank Miller's sequel to The Dark Knight Returns. A wonderful story. Dark Knight Returns. Beautiful story. Probably the penultimate, or in my opinion at least, the penultimate Batman story of the 80s. Basically, Frank Miller was removing the influences of Adam West Batman TV series and giving it more grittiness. There's an interview in, I think, 2000 in Wizard Magazine, 2001, with, I believe, in Wizard Magazine, where Miller actually laments what he did in some of his 80s comics, because he brought that true, gritty, realism to it. But at the same time, the thing he was lamenting is how real can you get about a guy from another planet flying around who's basically invincible. A superhuman woman that's immortal. How, and he kind of reflects on that. In a lot of ways, he may have screwed up the comic business. The Batman: Dark Knight Strikes Again is set 3 years after Dark Knight Returns, which took place in '86. So this takes place in '89. One of the problems in this story, and this is one of the things that people poo-poo on the story for, is you have text messaging, you have over-sexualized commercials, you have a lot of things that were relevant to the time when the comic came out, not to the time that it was set in. The things like the nude news that's in, there's a rift on that, which was a real popular thing at the end of the last millennia, beginning of this millennia, the first probably 8 or 10 years of this millennia, the last 4 or 5, when the high-speed technology, where there were places that did the nude, had the sexy women in the nude, or the weather in the nude and stuff like that. And I believe there are some like niche sites out there still to this day, but and he portrays them in this book. However, those of us that were around, that were teenagers, young adults in 1989, the contrast of this wait a minute, our technology was not that advanced in 1989. This is 3 years after the first, and so there's that. There's another thing that affected the story. Frank Miller was in his studio apartment working on this comic on September 11th, 2001. He, from his studio apartment, watched 2 airplanes fly into the World Trade Center and the World Trade Center's collapse. This affected him. He has, in the 2010s, he did a series of interviews where he reflects on the trauma that he suffered, an indignant amount of trauma from this. Watching this live, being an artist type, not really paying attention, just doing the whole I'm an artist thing. Then you get to watch this, horrific event live out your window, not on TV set, not on news reruns, but live and in person. And that affected the story. You can tell it's about halfway through the first issue when this was originally before his graphic novel. Let me clarify some things real quick. This was a 3-issue release. It was released starting in December of 2001 and culminated in the last one came out in June or July of 2002. You can tell when you read the graphic novel or the individual copies, you can tell the story's going along, boom, then it goes hard weird on you. You can tell that this is the point in which 9/11 affected Frank Miller. He was working on, and I've heard different takes on this, it was experimental art. He was playing around with some of the new art tools that we have, or we had, that were new in 2000, 2001. And he was playing with them, experimenting, seeing what he could and couldn't do, what looked good. And I gotta check the name. I can't ever remember this. The guy who did the coloring, Lynn Varley. Lynn Varley has a bit of an avant-garde streak to him, and now he has access to, like I said, 2000, 2001 computer art programs. programs where you can fine tune a color. You look at it and go, okay, that is yellow, but you can fine tune that yellow to almost a very unique hue and shade. And the art in this, picking this up in the early 2000s and knowing it's supposed to be set in 1989, it's a shock. And there was a lot of pushback on it, a lot of pushback on the art. I kind of like the art, but I like weird art. I like, avant-garde art. I like classical Renaissance art. I like art. I like everything from Leonardo da Vinci to Escher to Dali to Warhol, So the art didn't throw me off. Some of the directions that he went with characters in this story, the character of Carrie Kelly, who's introduced to us in Dark Knight, the first one, Dark Knight Returns. She had become Robin. Now she is Catgirl. She's 16 now. In the Dark Knight Returns, she was 13. It's 3 years later. She's now 16, going through puberty, and she gets moist every time she's around an older man. So, yeah, she's horny through most of it for guys that are in their 40s and 50s. Yeah, Miller kind of went a little weird there, but he kind of half-assed fixed it in the third volume, Dark Knight Master Race, but we'll get into that when we get to that video. But yeah, so we've got a horny 16-year-old who's in charge of the mutants. At the end of Dark Knight Returns, Batman had collected up all the mutants and all the factions, kids, after the nuke goes off, and was kind of quasi rebuilding Gotham. And he'd been training them, and Carrie Kelly has basically rose with her skills and stuff like that as basically the general or the leader. She refers to these people that they've trained, their army, as the Bat Boys, and it's not a loving, endearing term when she uses it. And she makes no bones about it. Batman is in his late 60s. Bruce Wayne / Batman is in his late 50s. The trauma to his body for years and years of the pounding and beatings that it took is showing through. Now, what has become of America? Evidently, Ronald Reagan left office, as he did in our world in '88. However, Americans, being Americans, and I could see Americans doing this, especially now in 2024, they elected President Riker. And it turns out that President Riker is a hologram, not a real person. Being controlled by one Lex Luthor, who is Superman's ultimate bad guy, and Brainiac, who is another one of Superman's rogues gallery. Brainiac is supplying the tech, and Luthor is supplying the brains, or the stuff. America has become a dystopia to utopia. Basically, everybody has money, everybody has sex, everybody has alcohol, whatever they want, drugs, alcohol, sex. They have it. What they don't have is freedom of speech, freedom to protect themselves, freedoms from unlawful search and seizure. They've advocated their rights as human beings for the luxuries. And you get this theme of the pleasures of the day are more important than the tyranny of the long, And over the time, Batman has decided to go public. And he starts organizing other superheroes. We already have the Green Arrow from the original one. Then he goes in and we find out that the Atom, Dr. Palmer, I can't remember his first name. I want to say Robert Palmer, but that's a entertainer, a singer. But Dr. Palmer, the Flash, who's been imprisoned. Barry Allen, the Flash, has been imprisoned. In fact, Barry Allen is on a giant treadmill, basically generating electricity for pretty much the entire eastern half of the United States at energy rates that are so low, they're damn near giving it away. So when he gets liberated and that whole scheme by the government crashes, not good. And he's gathering these guys up. We find out that Brainiac stole the city of Kandor, which has been part of Superman mythos since day 3. Maybe not day 1 or day 2, but it's early in the Superman mythos as a micronized city of Krypton that was harvested by Brainiac before Krypton blew up. And Lex Luthor and Brainiac are basically threatening to murder these people if Superman doesn't do his bidding. We find out that him and Wonder Woman had a daughter, and they hook up again, and Superman once again impregnates Wonder Woman. We have the climactic battle. There's a B story with Dick Grayson that is just different. I still can't wrap my head around that B story. It's just weird, and it's just bizarre. Now, you have this, like I said, the B story with Dick Grayson. Well, I'm not even going to try to go into that because it's just weird. You're going to have to read that for yourself. We also get Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. And there are bits throughout this, just very insightful bits throughout this book, or this comic series, that denote Miller's genius. There's a series of panels in which Green Lantern's doing his thing, and he observes, that just does not sound right. He makes mention that of all the planets in the universe, all the planets that are known, all the civilizations, that Earth is the only one that spends millions and millions of resources and time and effort and money to build state-of-the-art weaponry, not to protect themselves from invasion, but to point the weapons at themselves to protect themselves from each other. And he figured, and he makes comment to how weird that is compared to every other, civilized or uncivilized culture in the universe, that how Earth, they're worried more about killing each other than they are protecting them as a whole. And there are bits of insight like that all littered all through this book. This comic series is more relevant in 2024 than it was in 2001, 2002 when it came out. We have grown into that story. And like I said, I could honestly see the American public electing a hologram for president. It's just, with the stupidity that is rampant among America right now, I can honestly see it. It's more relevant, the themes, even though this was Frank Miller blasting George II's presidency, it's more relevant now. The themes, the storylines, everything that's going on is more relevant in 2024 than it was in 2001, 2002. And we've kind of grown into this story. We've kind of grown into this plot. It's like he went, look, this is what you're going to be in, 24 years. And guess what? It's more predictive than it is reflective. It's, like I said, it's one of those stories that just kind of grew. It grew on me because I got it because I'm a Frank Miller fan. I like Frank Miller. And Frank Miller, as good as a writer as he is, in comic books, a writer's story is either augmented or repressed by the art. I personally think Miller's best work is Elektra Assassin. Because I think the art enhances the story. That story and that artwork mesh up to make a superior all-around thing. They hold the whole. There are those that would disagree with me. There are those, I have good friends that will swear up and down that Miller's run on Daredevil is his greatest work. And yet others will say that it's his Batman Dark Knight Returns. And everyone's right, because, like I said at the beginning of the video, the things that shape my opinions, my beliefs, my thoughts, my anxieties, my fears, my woes, my joys are going to be different than yours. So it's all relevant. It's all good. Like I said, as long as you're not inflammatory or inciting anything or being stupid about it, I mean, it's all fairly relevant. It's great to discuss, though. I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. And until next time, people, remember, Be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?